Hey guys, this is Movie Critic Rob here with the Movie Channel. Before we start this review, and this is a spoiler-free review for the new Star Trek Beyond, I want to give you two little details. One's kind of funny, and one is just a disclaimer. So I'm going to start off with the disclaimer. I am not a Trekkie. I am not an avid watcher of the original Star Trek series on TV or the Next Generation or anything like that. I have very little information when it comes to that other than the movies which preceded Star Trek Beyond, which were Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness. So I am giving you kind of a non-Trekkie review for this because it really just, it's not something I like. I'm a Star Wars guy. That doesn't mean that I like Star Trek over Star Wars. I just never really got into Star Trek like I got into Star Wars. So with that being said, here's my second thing before we start this review. I had to battle to not put Star Trek on the title for this. I had to actually think about what I was typing and not just type out the title because I almost typed in Star Trek, and this is not about Iron Man going into the final frontier. Anyway, so the review for Star Trek Beyond. How does it hold up? This is the third film in a trilogy, which started back in 2009 with Star Trek and continued with Star Trek Into Darkness. This is also the first movie of the trilogy that is not directed by J.J. Abrams. So, you know, a lot of people might think, well, maybe it won't be as good. Now, let me remind you, there was another film this year that was originally, the concept of it was originally conceived by J.J. Abrams, and the sequel of which was not directed by J.J. Abrams and actually ended up being amazing. I'm, of course, talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is in the same universe as Cloverfield. For those of you that have not seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, I kind of just gave that away. But really, the name Cloverfield kind of gives it away. I'm not giving away any details to that movie. So, bearing that in mind as to how good 10 Cloverfield Lane was, and I think I did a review for it. I love the movie. It was one of the most tense experiences I've ever had in a movie theater. We arrive at Star Trek Beyond. And, like with 10 Cloverfield Lane, this is a movie that the prior installments have been directed by J.J. Abrams, but because of his commitment to Star Wars The Force Awakens, he was not able to direct Star Trek Beyond. However, this movie, Star Trek Beyond, was also written by Simon Pegg, who plays Scotty in this movie as well as in the prior installments. So, and he is a fan. This movie, and I want to discuss the build-up to this movie before I actually dive into what I thought about the actual movie. This movie, I don't think, was marketed well. Now, not in the sense that Batman v Superman wasn't marketed well because they just gave away everything. This one did not market it correctly. What I got out of the trailers was this is going to be a giant music video with Star Trek characters. It's not what the movie was at all. This movie was absolutely fun. It was funny. I think it was probably the funniest of all three Star Trek movies of the J.J. Abrams conceived trilogy. I think it was the funniest one. It really had some jokes. It really had me laughing. I went with some friends that I'm kind of like, when I'm alone in the movie theater, I laugh, or when I'm, with somebody that I'm really comfortable with, I laugh really hard. And I had to stop myself from laughing really hard because especially the character of Bones, I thought was written really well. And the people that wrote this, Simon Pegg, here's looking at you, and I know there were other people who wrote this movie, understand the characters really well. And that was the other thing I was going to mention about this. Simon Pegg, after the first trailer released on the internet, and a lot of people didn't like it because it was basically a giant music video, he came out and said that this movie was a movie for the Trekkies. This is a movie for the Star Trek fans. Even I, as a non-Star Trek fan, can see the fan service because I know enough about Star Trek to know when fan service is happening. I know it's kind of weird, but I do know enough. And I can honestly say that he was absolutely on the money. and he wrote the movie. Of course, he has to be. So yes, this is a movie for Trekkies. I don't know how that weighs into how the villain plays into the movie, and that's all I'm going to say about the villain, really. I'm going to talk about him, but as far as spoilerific details about the villain, that's all I'm going to say. I don't know if being a Trekkie fan would have made me appreciate it more. I don't know. That being said, the only thing negative that I could say about this movie, and I'm going to just say the negative right here, was, when you're doing a series, you expect every one of the movies to be better than the last. And a lot of that goes into the villain. Who is the opposition to our heroes? And how does he step up the game and up the ante of the movie from the one that preceded it? Now, of course, the one that preceded Star Trek Beyond was Star Trek Into Darkness, and we had Khan, who was played by the great Benedict Cumberbatch. He was an absolutely great villain. I thought he added a lot of subtlety to Khan. I know the original Khan was played by Ricardo Montalban. No, I may be wrong. Don't kill me, Star Trek fans. But I've seen bits and pieces of Wrath of Khan. And he plays him with a little bit more gravitas, a little bit more, I know Star Trek is not meant to be cheesy, but it is cheesy. I am really going to upset a lot of Star Trek fans. I'm sorry. I'm not a Star Trek fan, so I can't really speak on the same terms as you can. If this were a Marvel movie, I would talk the lingo. But I'm not a Trekkie, so I can't talk the lingo. That being said, I don't think that the villain in Star Trek Beyond was up to par with Khan. Now, like I said, I'm not a Star Trek fan, so maybe Star Trek fans were able to enjoy the villain a lot more than I did. That's not to say he was a bad villain. I'm just saying that compared to Star Trek Into Darkness's Khan, it really didn't do it for me. Now, I watched a review prior to this. I think it was Chris Stuckman's review of Star Trek Beyond, and he said, to really enjoy the villain, you have to wait until the third act when all is revealed. And when all was revealed and all was said and done, I still really didn't. I understood the motivations a little more, but the motivations I thought were lacking, and I just did not enjoy the character as much as I did Khan. Now, this movie does something absolutely fantastically, and that is it never lets up. I went to the restroom once during this movie. I felt like I had missed so much during the movie, and I'm thankful for that there was a movie that it really gives you no downtime. It's a negative and a positive at the same time. The negative is, of course, if you go to the restroom at any point in time, you're going to miss something. But the positive is that if you are looking to be 100% entertained at all times, you're going to get that with Star Trek Beyond. There were a lot of moments of peril, which I thought were really well played, and they didn't just end it at the stereotypical ending of a peril scene. They kept it going to keep you guessing, and I like that. Some of the plot elements may have been a little contrived, like, for example, I'm going to try and do this without giving away any spoilers. They have to go and do something, and the easy way out is, of course, not available, causing them to have to take the hard way, and there's, mayhem that ensues. And stuff like that. It's like, okay, all right, it becomes, this is the standard of popcorn movies nowadays, and you just, like I did, I turned my brain off to it. I was like, okay, I'm still enjoying this. But I couldn't help but notice it, partially because a lot of movies do it. I think a better thing would have been to have them try the easy choice, have it be available to them, then have it go awfully wrong, and then have them have to resort to the hard choice. Instead of just explaining it with a line of dialogue, do it. Show rather than tell. But like I said, everybody was great. I love Zachary Quinto as Spock, Chris Pine as James T. Kirk, Zoe Saldana as Uhura, everybody in the cast. And Chekhov, who, I can't remember his name, and it's going to kill me. But he passed away, sadly, and he really gave a good performance in this movie. I'm really sad to see him go. I can't remember his name. Anton Yelchin. I'm sad to see him go, but he gave a really good performance. And I really enjoyed the film. I really did. I think that you should go out and see this movie. I think, like I said, if you're a Trekkie fan, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more than I did. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it. I had a blast. It was fun. It was a great movie. It had, its weaknesses, but like I do with all the other movies, if the weaknesses are not enough to get you to concentrate on them while you're watching the movie, then the movie has done its job. And with Star Trek Beyond, even though, yes, I am addressing them partially because they're things I've seen a lot of redundancy in a lot of popcorn movies, it was not enough in viewing for me to say, oh, they're doing this again, they're doing this, why are they doing this? It wasn't enough. I absolutely enjoyed it. I recommend this movie, and go watch it. Go watch it because it was awesome. I know I haven't been doing a lot of reviews. Now it's time to switch gears here and do some house tending or house cleaning or whatever you want to call it. I really haven't been doing a lot of reviews. I've just been really busy lately. I'm going to be really busy, but I do want to keep on going with the reviews. I have been responding to comments, and I thank you for the response I've gotten to my review of the Ultimate Cut. I love the Ultimate Cut, and you'll see that in my review. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a lot more, it's a lot better crafted than the theatrical cut, and I really enjoy it. I bought it. I actually picked it up on Blu-ray yesterday, even though I had the digital copy now for 2 weeks because it was early release, and I was able to pick it up. So I did watch it, and I loved it, and that's how I got to do the review. I also went to see Secret Life of Pets yesterday. I don't want to do a review for that movie just because it's been 2 weeks since it's been out, so I feel like the need for a review is kind of not there, so I'm not going to do it. That being said, the movie was absolutely a blast. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it because it was awesome. I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say. Go and see Star Trek Beyond. If you haven't seen the first 2 installments, Star Trek or Star Trek Into Darkness, even though they don't, if you can watch Star Trek Beyond without having seen the other 2 entries and enjoy it. There are some things that maybe you missed because you haven't seen the prior 2 entries, but you can enjoy it as a standalone movie, and I like that. There's also a strength in Star Trek Beyond that a lot of movies require that seriality to keep you engaged, and this one was a really, like the other 2 of Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek from 2009, a lot like Star Trek Beyond, you can see it without having to get fed all this knowledge from other movies, and it still makes sense, and you still have fun, and you still enjoy it. So go out and watch it, and that's all I have to say. Please go watch it. It's pretty awesome. This has been Movie Critic Rob with the Movie Channel. I love Star Trek Beyond. Go watch it. That's all I have to say. I'm going to keep saying it because it's awesome, and I'm signing off.